Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go.
So if this looks a little bit different, it's because it's not my camera, and it is not my lens, and actually I think going forward I'm probably going to feel a little bit of lens envy after using this one, but I left mine at home because I'm a dingus, and Gerard was sweet enough to let me use his, and it's beautiful. Where did the word dingus come from? Like, what does that actually mean? Did we make that up? I mean, all words are made up, right? But like, did we like make that up without it coming from anywhere? I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna Google it. Wait, hold on. News will happen in a sec, I swear. What? Oh my gosh, it doesn't even mean how I use it at all. Apparently dingus is a word that you're supposed to use in place of like doohickey. Like if you gesture to something but you don't know what it's called, you could say like, this dingus over here. It doesn't actually refer to somebody who like had a lapse in judgment the way that I normally use it. And it comes from Dutch, the Dutch word ding. And then it got turned into dingus via Afrikaans. So there we go. For our first piece of news, any of you who might have looked at Steam reviews fairly often, like I do, you might every now and then say to yourself, well, but I don't know how people actually feel about the most recent iteration of this game, right? Because we live in an era where games are constantly being tweaked and updated and changed for the better, sometimes for the worse. Game reviews don't always reflect that. If a game did really, really bad when it first came out and all of the reviews were terrible, that's going to eventually, affect the overall review score for the game, even if it's perfectly fine now. Basically, the way it works now is like a total it's fine. It's fine, it's just a little bit messy, but if you're looking for the information, it's there. Basically, you can now see a score that is reflective of the score across the entire lifespan of the game, or you can look at the score based on most recent reviews. You can also see reviews swapped in that way as well. So you can look at only the most recent reviews for the game, or you can look at the most helpful reviews for the game, the reviews that people have responded to the most. So they're giving you options if you'd like to just see what the game is like now and how people are responding to the game now versus overall. I think that it's a good idea. I think it's a long time coming, honestly, again, because games are constantly changing and moving, and I do wish that it was a bit easier to read, but I'm glad that the information is there at all, so I can't really complain. So now, if you're somebody who really, really loves a game and you wanted to, come to its defense, it's not in vain anymore. You can actually do that, and people will see your review as being one of the most recent reviews where you're like, no, I know that it crashed every 5 seconds before, but it's a great game now, I swear. So there's a game on Kickstarter right now called Chronicles of Elyria that I think sounds so cool if they can pull it off. It's a game where the idea is that it's an MMO, right? But every character has permadeath. Not in the sense of if you fight and you die, then you die forever, but all characters age over the course of 14 in-game months. So your character will age and die eventually. Every death that you have before you've aged to your prime and passed on will decrease your life by 2 months. So you have to be really careful about when you die at all. But it's also one of those games where they really want the economy and the political world to be sort of determined by the players, kind of Eve style. They have tech demos you can look at. The Kickstarter has a ton of information, and it's very interesting. I think it's an interesting idea. Again, I think most of us are in this sort of critical mind frame where we're like, well, whether or not that's too big of a scope and that can actually work is, TBD. But if it did work, that would be really cool. That would be a really cool experience. I don't know for the long term if it would be a really cool experience, but the idea of playing an MMO and watching your character age and die, I think is fascinating, especially in a world where the choices that you make as a player actually impact the world in general, potentially. So yeah, I did a bunch of reading on it. I watched all the videos. It seems super cool. So if you're interested in looking at that, I will link you in the description. I think that it's the first game description that I've read in a long time where I was like, that would be super cool. So we had a couple of different announcements happen. The first one has to do with Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1, are they wait, was there ever a Battlefield 1? No, there was not. Battlefield 1, much like Xbox One, Battlefield 1 is the newest Battlefield that is going to be coming out. So this newest Battlefield is going to be taking place during World War I. There were a lot of rumors going on that maybe it was going to be like an alternate history sort of a thing. It's not, or at least that's not what they're going for. They're trying to be very accurate in terms of the sort of vehicles that you can use and the guns that are available to you, and also just the aesthetic of the game, which I think definitely came across in the trailer. I liked the trailer a lot. I was watching it with JP and Sam, and JP was like, I hate this music, it's ruining the trailer for me. But I liked it, even though they made us watch it so many times during that conference. So if you want biplanes, we got biplanes. And of course, it will be coming first to EA Access on Xbox One and PC, which is fine. I can play Battlefield 1 on my Xbox One, right? And of course, there will be a single-player campaign. I doubt that they would take the time to establish this aesthetic and put it into this specific moment in history without there being a single-player campaign, so I was not one of the people who was surprised by that. Apparently, you're going to be going to a lot of different countries in the campaign, which makes sense, but it'll be interesting to see how they do these different countries, and by that, I mean the way that it looks or feels different. Because I think one of the things that they're constantly being accused of is sort of a monotone feel. So I think, okay, so my theory is that the reason that they named it Battlefield 1 is because it'll be the game that takes place earliest in the series of games. So they were like, oh my god, we can totally call it Battlefield 1. The other big announcement that happened last night was about the new Nvidia graphics cards, and I am going to say just as a disclaimer really fast that I am being sent an Nvidia graphics card in exchange for hosting them on my channel, so I just want everybody to know that, like, conflict of interest or whatever it is. Anyway, so they announced the GTX 1080 and the GTX 1070. The thing that people are really jazzed about is the price point, honestly. So the price is like hundreds of dollars lower than these graphics cards normally are when they come out. I think the previous edition right now is at like $600. A lot of people were expecting their next graphics card to come out at like $1,000, but this one is actually coming out at $599, which is pretty great. But the jump in quality, according to like, you know, their maps and charts and things, the jump in quality is really significant. So I think a lot of people are really excited to have this like fairly affordable, in comparison, right? Fairly affordable graphics card that can do way more than the last versions can. But they had like a big campaign building up to this, and then Deadmau5 was there, and I think everybody who showed up was like, is it gonna be more than the graphic? Are we gonna see more than just a graphics card? Oh no, it is just a oh, but it's like a pretty good price. Okay, well, sure. I'll enjoy some sick jams. Persona 5 has a new trailer that looks awesome! I mean, every Persona 5 trailer has looked really awesome, but this Persona 5 trailer looks real awesome. We get to see lots of new gameplay, lots of new characters. It's really cool to watch, and not nearly as cinematic or like anime cutscene focused as the other trailers have been. You see a lot about the interface and the way the game is gonna work. It's very reminiscent of past Persona games, but they've tweaked it a little in a way that I think is kind of cool. There are definitely some moments in that trailer where I'm like, whoo, that's a lot going on. But thinking back on other Persona games, I'm like, there's always a lot going on. There's always a lot of colors. The interface is always kind of like, rah! So I'm just so excited to play that game. This one has like a really weird Kamikaze Kaitaijin feel to it. If anybody ever watched that anime or read that manga, it has like a magical girl thief feel, and it looks like the masks are very important, right? We've seen lots of cutscenes and lots of pictures of different characters wearing individual masks. So that's definitely going to be part of it. That's definitely going to be part of the whole like Persona aspect of the game. Very excited. Do you guys know I'm excited? Have I established yet how excited I am? You should definitely watch this trailer. I'm gonna link in the description so you can check that out. Oh my god. And as a final bit of news, some of you who have watched Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's trailer have probably noticed that the dislike ratio is off the charts. Now, for most of us who go and see that, it's not going to necessarily feel like much because we all know that people love to bag on Call of Duty games, right? So it's like, yeah, it's just people, you know, being haters, being Call of Duty haters, which I don't care at all about the Call of Duty franchise, so I don't care to be a hater or a lover, to be frank. But it turns out that it's like a weird mass dislike campaign, possibly from people who really love Call of Duty and are actually actively involved in that franchise. Now, why would they do that exactly? I'm not sure. Maybe to tell the companies that they're not excited about the direction that the games are going in. Obviously, if it's people who just generally hate the game, who are jumping on the bandwagon as well, it would be from people who either really love other shooter franchises that have gotten a bit more creative, or it's from people who are just like, God, I'm sick of Call of Duty games. Can you move on with something else? And honestly, what's interesting is that people are really looking forward to the remake. The remastered Call of Duty Modern Warfare that you get with Infinite Warfare is like getting people super jazzed because they love that game, right? But nobody wants to play Infinite Warfare, which is weird. So now it's up to them to decide, okay, do we decide to sell the remastered version just on its own and possibly make a bigger profit that way? Or do we continue to try and make people buy Infinite Warfare so that they get the remastered Modern Warfare? Either way, it does make me giggle that so many people were like, we are going to fight it. We're gonna mass dislike this trailer. And it's a very obvious difference between all of the other Call of Duty trailers up till now. Yeah, they have a dislike ratio, but like not a very big one, right? This is the first one that has like doubled the dislikes, and there's a whole Steam group dedicated to it now. And it's like, it's a full-on campaign of people who want to dislike this game on principle. And whether that's an individual reason or a reason that has to do with everybody else, who knows? All we know is that the response so far from Activision has been, man, you gotta love their passion. Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch any of my live streams, they happen at twitch.tv/dexteritybonus. And every Saturday I do a show called Saturday Morning Dooger, where I hang out and do Q&As and just chit chat with the chat. And it's very, very fun. And other than that, do podcasts. I just play games sometimes by myself, sometimes with Sam, sometimes with my cousin Tiri. It's fun. I've been streaming there more and more often, but ever since I stopped working at Polaris, I've been thinking about ways to bulk up the content that's going on YouTube as well. So keep an eye out for that. Any of you who have been asking where Welcome to the Fandom has been, definitely coming back. I have a few scripts already pretty much ready to go. So I'm excited. I'm excited to breathe new life into my stuff, so to speak. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you again next Sunday. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even mean how I use it at all.